Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Keith. Now, every Wednesday and Friday. On Monday, we'll probably be showing a replay. So we'll have a watch party. So it is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But you have me live on Wednesday and Friday because the new work schedule has been hectic. But this is what we do. Hey, Flex, what's going on, brother? This is what we do. So if this is your first time tuning in, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist. And I use my talents, my knowledge, everything to try to help those who are in difficult situations. What we do here with Unapologetically Keith is to try to have a conversation to deal with some of the things that we know are creating issues with others. What's going on, Flex? And as we say, as you have heard me say recently, is we want to respect everybody's opinion. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but it goes down in the chat room because, hey, Michelle. And so this is what we do. This is what happens. And so this is where it is. So again, when you come in, I will make sure I introduce myself to you. Like to say hi to those that's here. Let me just make sure we got this right where it says I'm live. Oh, I'm in the wrong place here. Okay. But yeah. So tonight, fairly serious topic tonight. And I know it has the potential to always, well, it always has a potential of going left. But we're going to hope that that doesn't happen. Because I believe we can always have an adult conversation about things. Let me find what's going on. How come I can't find the live? Right here, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Okay, so how come I can't? What is going on here? Okay, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Welcome, Sean, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Okay, that's last week's, so it should be right here. There we go. Okay, now I can see, because I have to be able to see. So, I chose this subject because over the last couple of days, I pay attention to current events. Hey, Kim. And Kim, I'm actually so glad you're here because it was actually when I was on your page that got me to thinking about this subject because I saw your interaction, I guess, with a gentleman on your page, Kim. And it looked like you have been friends 60 years or something. I think I heard you, or I saw you type. And it was interesting because I read what he said and I read what you said. And I was like, wow. And it was, I did not agree with my man at all, but I think it was interesting because I was looking at how you responded to him. And it was just, it seems, I'm not sure if certain people are tone deaf or people just don't know, or people just don't care. I'm not sure which it is, but it's kind of, right now, we're living in some very, very dark times. And those of us of faith have to learn. Okay, now, friends, I took that as when you talked about going into his father's store or something like that. I kind of realized y'all wasn't the closest together. But it got me to thinking. And so, and then I did Pastor Sandy's show last night. And she asked me the question of, do I think racism will always be here with us? And I was like, yeah, I really do. His parents came to America with numbers on their arms. Okay, I understand. And it's sad that our Jewish brothers and sisters don't have more of a connection with us because we're the only other group that can truly understand what a lot of Jewish brothers and sisters went through. But yet they seem to just be blatantly disrespectful to us as people of color when it comes to our plight. But God forbid you make the mistake of saying something about theirs and they literally lose their minds. And I'm like, but if you feel that way about your struggle and your Holocaust, how come you don't feel that way about my own when you know how devastating it was to you? But this is what it is. And I think we have to be able to intellectually have conversations without it spiraling down to the guttural thing that can happen between races. And because we have cameras now, we're seeing so much more than we ever did, good, bad, and indifferent. We watched George Floyd be executed on film. They did the same thing to Jesus. Yes, they did. But I think what happens is when faiths crisscross and beliefs crisscross and skin color crisscrosses and social economics crisscross, there's so many factors that it's very difficult for people to really take it all in. So they back up to their corner and they pretty much just start swinging from there. And they don't want to come to the middle to have a conversation about the differences when often there's so many similarities between the races. And Dr. King talked about that when he was in the Birmingham jail. And he talked to the white officers and he was like, why are you treating me bad when you're in the same position that I am? The only difference is the color of our skin. But these are the things that we have to consider. So what I wanted to do tonight, and being serious, this is not something I joke and play with, simply because racial divide is a very brutal thing. And the things that people have done to folks to keep that divide is brutal. And I have studied. I'm not a super historian, but I have made sure I took the time to really read and understand aspects of slavery here in the United States, in the Caribbean, and other places. And I think the hardest part for me is when people who don't look like me attempt to minimize the pain that we have suffered as people of color. That's the thing that drives me crazy, as if you're going to act as if it didn't happen. And we kind of gloss around it. And I saw something last week, and it said that 28 states have textbooks that don't speak to slavery. No, white supremacy. 15 states don't speak to slavery in such a way where it talks about the atrocities. And it reminded me that when I finished school the first time, yes, so many similarities. I don't see why they don't see we are just like them. It's hard when you reduce it just to the hue of your skin, Michelle. That's why they don't see it, is they reduce it to a melanin thing when it really isn't. We have the same, we want the same things for our kids and everything else. But when I got my master's degree, it was in curriculum writing, because I wanted to write curriculums. I wanted to have an input in curriculums for children of color, because I felt if somebody who understood children of color got involved with the creation of textbooks, then we would at least have an even footing. And no matter how many jobs I applied for, I couldn't even get an interview in New York. 18 different times I applied for jobs that I was qualified for or overqualified for, and couldn't get an interview. And when I went, hey Jackie, when I went down to 55, I guess that's 55 Water Street, or when I was in Manhattan, I think it's 55 Water Street. Anyway, I think that's it, whatever it is. I ran into a sister who was an administrative assistant, and we used to work in the same building. We all were created under the same God, Flex. But if folks don't see it that way, and those are the folks that are in power, then that creates, again, the divide. And I'm gonna get to the 10 things that of how we can bridge this gap. So she said, hey, Belvin, what you doing down here? And I said, well, I came in to see about Worth Street. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. I've been out of New York for a while. And I said, I'm here because I want to find out what's going on. I keep applying for these jobs, and I'm not getting any callbacks and nothing. I want to file a complaint, and I'm big for filing a complaint. She looked around. She pulled me to the side. She said, come here. We went in an empty conference room. And she said, don't trouble yourself. And I said, why? She said, those jobs have already been filled. She said, they already fill the jobs before they list them. And then they list them so they can stay compliant with the law, but they already know who they're giving them to. I said, y'all know this? She said, listen, you blow the whistle, you lose your job. So I filed my complaint. 2 weeks later, I got an interview. I got called for an interview. And they sat me down, 3 people, 3 white people. And you could tell when somebody's just going through the motions. So I brought my A game. I answered all the questions. They shook my hand, never heard from her again. Hey, Tony. And again, you could sense it was, let's just appease him so we don't have to deal with it. And then they can say we gave him a fair opportunity. The closest that I got to creating curriculums for the Department of Education, I became a certified curriculum reviewer in the physical education, health education department, which means I got to read the textbooks and decide which of these textbooks did the city schools choose that went into the system. Great job. I just sat there and read books. And they paid me. And it's also why I kept the doors of my own company open because I figured if they're not going to let me review textbooks, then I'm going to create textbooks for myself, for my people, with other authors who want to do some of the things that I'm thinking about. So in the past 10 years that Braven Publishing has been open, Tiff and I have worked on over 50 books, 5 of my own, 52 books, 5 of my own, 47 with other authors, 37 of those 52 were books that were taken from concept, meaning an idea on a computer, to physical form. Or we've either did the typesetting or the covers or other stuff for other books. But with this race thing, it comes in so many forms. And there's so many doors that are held closed for whatever reason, that we have to be able to start having better conversations on all levels. Street level, corporate level, political level, because we're now starting to see how all of it is connected because of the unveiling that Trump has allowed us to see in the last 3.5 years, and how he's just blowing through norms because of what he wants and the people that he's connected to. So we should be fearful, but we have to be optimistic. And that fear can't be paralyzing. It has to be motivational. We now have to figure out ways to push forward and not only make sure that we vote, but make sure we know who we're voting for, and make sure that we're not just voting in the election for the president, that we're voting in local elections and know who those people are as well. Because if we're going to change certain things in that arena, we have to make sure that we exercise our right to vote. The next thing that we have to do is we have to check where our dollars are going. And we have to start taking command of where our money goes, how we make our money, who we give our money to, and start being very, very stingy with our dollars. And then the final thing is we have to start holding our brothers and sisters accountable for their behaviors. We can't look to those that don't look like us if we're not going to at least control what goes on with us. We can't look at white folks and go, oh, why are you treating us like that? But yet we turn our back to the foolishness that we see going on. We can't do that anymore. What I really don't understand is, why do they hit us so? Fear, Michelle. Fear. They brought us here because of the ability that we have to be able to work in the sun. But at the same time, that fear is every time we get involved in anything, we dominate. We got into tennis, we dominate. We get into football, we dominate. We got into hockey, we get in there. So when we're left to get into anything, and you have to be careful who you're voting for. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to get into a big political conversation because I'm not. But I don't want to hear I'm not voting for either person. If you only got 2 choices and one has the knife about to stab you in your chest and the other one you're not sure what he's going to do with it, take care of the person with the knife first and we'll deal with Biden later. Because those are only 2 choices. We don't have a third party. We don't have an African-American party that we can just go, we're going to vote for our candidate. And if you don't vote, then you saw what happened in 2016. 100 million people stayed home. And look what we got. But we're not going to fare as people of color a whole lot better under Biden. We'll do a little better, but we have to start policing ourselves. But that's a separate political conversation for another day, because I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent. And I'm going to listen to either side if it's going to help move me closer to the things that I need to protect my people. Because not every Republican is bad and not every Democrat is cool with us. And we have to understand that as well. Hold on one second. I'll show you. What is this? Come on now. So we have to understand that. Is that often many of us are Democrats because our parents were Democrats. But there's good and bad people on both sides. That's what Trump got it wrong. He was talking about Charlottesville. But actually, there's good and bad folks on the side. We just have to learn how to make it work for us. We have to learn how to know how to leverage our position, how to leverage our votes. That's where the church has dropped the ball. Because church leaders should be at the forefront because they have the ear of many more people who are registered voters. And when you learn how to use that leverage, you get the things that you want. We see it all the time with other races. We just don't take advantage of that. But yet they'll come to us on a regular begging for our vote. We just don't ask anything for it. We did it with Obama. We didn't ask for anything. We were so happy to have a black president, we forgot to ask for something. And then we started to make excuses. Well, he's not just the president of black folks. He's the president of everybody. Well, you should have asked him for something. You have to make it count for something. Oh, stop shaking. I'm sorry, babe. I move around a lot. But we have to, it's hard for me to sit still since I was a kid. But we have to make our vote count because we have to ask for something with our vote. And we have to do it in a loud voice. But back to this racial divide. I got 10 steps that I want to put into place. And we want to look at these 10 steps as a way to bridge. No, not though. They have to make demands. Well, that's what your vote. My camera? My camera's not shaking. Oh, you mean there? Okay, yeah, I moved it earlier. It's not moving now. It might be when the table. I don't know if it's the light. I got to check that light in the back there. Is it shaking now? Is it still shaking? Because I'm not anywhere near the camera. Let me know. And so, yeah, we definitely have to demand, because the key is you have to do it in bulk, because the sheer numbers is how you change things. That's what petitions are for. That's why you go out and do the things that you need to do. A lot of folks don't do that. A lot of folks don't sign petitions. A lot of folks don't get involved in civic service. I'm lost, Kim. What's wrong? Because I don't know what I'm not doing anything different than I normally do. Let me know what I can do to try to help. So what I'm going to give you now is his 10 steps that we can take to try to step out of the shadows and try to figure out a way to bridge this racial divide. Okay? So let's get this started, guys. Let's see where this takes us tonight. Okay. So let's put a 1 up in the chat room. Let's get this started. Let's see what we can do to try to bridge this racial divide. Let's see what you guys come up with. Let's see what y'all think. So let's put a 1 in the chat room and get started. You know how we do this. Oh, that was a minute. Okay. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate you. I'm sorry. Because I got to read in a separate place, so I was looking on the phone. So let's put a 1 up in the chat room. Let's go. Get this started. And again, feel free to leave your thoughts and to put your comments into the chat room, because again, other people come back and read this after we're done, and they enjoy it. Actually, I hear from a lot of folks who come back who are not up this time of night, they're sleeping. Okay, number one way to try to help bridge this racial divide is to learn about other people and their culture, but go beyond foods and festivals. Often we will attend food festivals, regular festivals. We will attend festive events, but we have to start learning about other people's culture. I make it a habit to know a little bit about the Torah. I have a Quran here. I have my Bible, of course. I make it a habit to listen to other people from other cultures. My partner, who I talk to every 4 to 5 weeks, is over in Italy. I got another partner up in Canada I speak to, and I speak to a couple people from around the country. I speak to all walks of life, of course, as a counselor. It is my job. My clientele is of all backgrounds. I have white, black, Latinos. The light is bouncing off you. I'm not doing anything. Let me see if I can turn it this way. No, because then it's darker. No. Thank you, Tiff. It's telling me the light's bouncing off my head. Oh. You know what? Messing with y'all. There we go. Let me turn it down a little bit. See if we can do it that way. And so we attend theirs, but they won't attend ours. That's true, but that's what we have to start letting folks know. Remember, the list that I'm giving you tonight is not just us to them. It's what anyone can do. So when you have people who start to want to inquire on what they can do, because you got a lot of people that the shame is starting to kick in, they're saying, what can I do for my position? Say, start to learn more about our culture, or we as well have to start learning about other cultures. And we have to start figuring that out. And we got to start having those difficult conversations, because the more we learn about other people's culture, the more we can understand what they're going through, and then the more they can understand what we're going through and how much that is alike. Is this because I know I don't know what it is with my phone with the lights from the back. I don't know what it is there. So my camera's up here, so I have no idea why the light keeps doing that. I gotta buy some new lights anyway. Hey Les, I gotta buy some new lights. So bear with me, guys. Let me see if I can move it over here and make it a little easier. Because there's the light up above. Okay, let me see. Nope. It's a little darker. All right. So that's number one, is that we have to learn about each other's culture. We have to have some difficult conversations, but when you take the time to learn about somebody's culture, you will start to see the similarities. You'll start to understand where some of the racism comes from in their walk of life. And you can help expose what you deal with. Michelle says, I know that when the people get together and do something, we can affect change. I literally marched to Washington, make MLK's birthday holiday 3 times, and it became so. I also did. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, listen. That's part. If you can. We just saw how Black Lives Matter protests got companies to start putting money out there. Now, where the money's going, I don't know. But at least they're starting to address some of the Black Lives Matter issues. But again, like I said, we have to, again, have those very difficult conversations, as well as we have to police our own. And I'm going to keep saying that, because we have to get our own in check. Because it's very hypocritical when we go out and make demands of people that don't look like us, and then we act as if we don't see what's going on. Now, they use certain things as an excuse. When I say they, I mean non-black people will use certain things as an excuse to try to paint black people with the same brush. We have to get past that and start looking for the folks who really want to help. There are allies out there. There are allies out there. There are people out there who just do not feel that the racial thing should be an issue, and they fight as hard as we do. Well, when we say we need our own, Flex, we as people of color do need to have our own. But that starts with policing ourselves, because if we can't police ourselves, what are we going to have? Now, I am an example of starting your own. I have 2 businesses, and I work very hard at both of them. So I'm tired now. But I have found that with our own people, we have to fight harder for support, which we shouldn't have to do. That's part of the re-education that we have to have. We have to re-educate our folks with the power of understanding our dollar, but then we also have to understand that we need allies. We can have our own and come to the table, but we still need other people to do business with, because if not, we're going to start to sound like them. The goal is that if we're going to have inclusion, we be in control of us. That's what Malcolm X, when he created the United Mosques Incorporated, he said, I'll work with people who are white, but they're not going to run my business. And that's okay. Here is the problem as I see it. Individuals, you may get some understanding, but where their economic future is involved, they will remain silent but never stand with us. That's why I said social economics, Kim. We have to do it on multiple levels. This is not a one pony race, one horse race. There's multiple lanes that have to be addressed to make the type of changes overall that we want to see. And that's going to be difficult because everybody has to be able to play their position and everybody has to learn and do what they can do from their place. And then it goes back to number one, which is learn about other people's culture so we can have that conversation. Malcolm X went to the Middle East and had Middle Eastern kings who were ready to support what he was doing when he got assassinated. We can do two things at the same time, Flex. We can heal ourselves and seal up other things at the same time. Because if we close the door to one to the other, then we lose connection to other areas. We can do two things at the same time. We're that brilliant. We can do multiple things at the same time. Because we can still do good politics, good business, and heal ourselves at the same time. It's been done. We just have to have a single-minded focus on how we're going to do it. Because other cultures do it. Other cultures don't just shut down to do them. They're still doing business with other cultures while still taking care of internal issues. We see it every day. We just have to put it into practice every day and have a single-minded focus in certain areas. We just don't have that right now. We're splintered in a lot of areas. All right, moving on to number two. And number two is, again, the 10 steps towards bridging our painful racial divide. That's what I'm talking about tonight. That is what I'm offering tonight. And again, I am not the end all, the be all. I don't know everything about this. I am just bringing what I know, what I think. And if you don't agree, that's okay. And if you have something else to offer, throw it in the chat room because now is when we need to be heard. Put it out there. Flex, Kim, Tiff, everybody, Michelle, put it out there. Because again, this is what we have to have conversations about. And again, like I say all the time, I pray that you're taking this and taking it back to where you are and having these conversations. Thank you for the two, Kim. There we go, Michelle. Let's go on to number two, guys. Here we go. Explore the unfamiliar. Put yourself in situations where you are in the visible minority. So get yourself out there. Get yourself out there and make yourself visible. Make sure that people understand who you are, what you're trying to do. Make your voice heard in whatever capacity that you can. And this is an area that troubles me because I will literally hear folks say, I don't know what to do. But you're on Facebook all day. You're on Instagram all day. You're on all these various social media sites. What you mean you don't know what to do? Instead of just surfing and watching fight videos or whatever videos you watching, why don't you start looking for some of the areas or things that are out here that you can connect to and start to do some research. Racism never stopped. Police brutality has been happening. I believe this will never go away. It's sad even knowing your rights. The system is so corrupt. Yeah, it is. Racism, police brutality is a form of racism, Tony. And it's not going away because there's value in police brutality. There's value in keeping folks of color in a certain predicament. There's value in that. There's money being made from that. There's money in the prison system. Okay, there's money in that. And so, and often many police, not all, many police enjoy their role in that. But not every policeman is bad. The problem is we don't have enough vocal police to the ones who are negative. But overall, it's connected to the political system, which then we have to look at the history of why police were even created in the way that they were created. And you have to become a student of the very thing that you're trying to change. You can't say you want to make a difference and you're not going to put the time in to understand how it got to the way it got. Because then how are you going to actually start to make the changes? Like Flex said, we need to have our own. How can we have our own if we don't understand how certain things got to the way that they were? Because then we could make some of the same mistakes that were made in the past. So you have to become a student of history to be able to put your present into motion so your future looks totally different. So as I say here, number two, explore the unfamiliar. Start traveling. Start getting knowledge in areas that you're not comfortable with. If you're white and you don't understand black folks, there's too many books that you can read that can introduce you to folks of color. If you're black and you've never been out your neighborhood, there's too many sites that you can go to introduce you to other parts of the world. And there's too many groups out there. You have to change the way of thinking. That's what this whole thing is about. You have to change your way of thinking. You have to evolve into something that you become a positive towards whatever change that you're trying to make. It is clearly about the change of thinking. But then once you change your thinking, it's about changing your actions. And it's about changing what you do, how you spend your money, what you spend your money on, who you talk to, how you talk, what you read. And I read often. And I have audiobooks. I got audiobooks on deck. I have a subscription to Audible. And I'm about 15 books in now. I'm finishing up the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And then I forget what else. Let me see. I ain't going to bring it up now. I got my iPad. My iPad is off. You also cannot exist unless the higher position doesn't allow it. I agree and disagree, Kim, because the higher position needs the lower folks as well. And we've seen that with the Black Lives Matter movement, is that when you don't have workers, okay, what are you going to do with your factories? What are you going to do with your business? Workers are as important to this game as anything else. The key is knowing your worth. Why do you think New York has a law that if anybody, any of the New York City agencies go on strike, they lose the Taylor law. They lose 2 days for every 1 day that they take a strike, because they know how crippling any one of the agencies going on strike can do to a city like New York. Again, Flex, we can do two. We can do both at the same time. We can. But we need to start with ourselves first. We can do multiple things. Oh, okay, I got you, Kim. Okay, I got you. Yeah, but see, that's why. But we need folks who are going to get involved on the lower levels to try to push their way up through to try to make those changes. Now, sadly, we see brothers and sisters get to those top positions, and all of a sudden they become something different. But I think what we have to do is we have to fight this fight on multiple fights, guys. It's on multiple levels. Remember, we have to work on healing. Like, a hospital doesn't do just one thing. A hospital does multiple things. You have social work going on while surgery is happening. You have babies being born while somebody is being treated for burns. You have multiple things going on in the hospital. So this is the mindset that we have to take. It gets worse when you allow the PD to move out to the suburbs. Well, that's the thing, is that when you don't have community police, unity is definitely necessary. And Kim, I agree with you, but we need to have community policing, which means we got to start having more police who live in the communities that they police. We don't have that as much. And it is studies have proved that when there is a personal connection to the area that you police, you do a little bit different in the way that you handle your business than when you don't. When you have and it's the same thing with teaching. When you have a personal connection. When I lived in Canarsie and I taught in Canarsie, I had a totally different connection to the students than teachers who came from other areas who had no idea how to deal with urban kids. And I used to have teachers say, well, how do you have such a connection with them? Because I'm in the neighborhood with them. They see me at the store. They see me at the food line or whatever. They see me at the different places. We talk. They see my kids at the park. You're also less likely to treat somebody badly when you live in some of the same environments that they live in. And again, these are the things that we can start to control. We can take some of those jobs. We could be in those positions. But we have to, once we get in, is to not become part of the system. We have to try to keep pushing against it. When I taught, I was a nonconformist. That's why I stayed in so much trouble. I taught in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 schools in 22 years. 7, if you could consider the School of Manhattan. 7 schools in 22 years. You know why? Because I would rub principals the wrong way because I defended kids. Yes, there's police on patrol in communities. We have to put police that know the community, though, Flex. They're on patrol. They're out there. They're out there. Because I have friends that are officers. They're out there. But they have to have a connection to the people that they're policing. But again, it starts with us. If we patrol and control most of our neighborhood, then when we call the police, they have just one job. But when we let things get so out of control that police, you're starting to see this with the president. Oh, these areas are out of control. I'm going to send my goons to calm it down. Not sitting in cars. I agree, Flex. Michelle said, we have to remember the police were formed originally to catch runaway slaves and punish them and give them back to the slave masters. Yes, they were. That's what I meant about the history, Michelle. That's why I said we have to know, we have to understand the history. We have to be able to do multiple things at the same time. So, guys, anybody watching, first of all, thank you so much for watching Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 to 10:30. And so I appreciate it. And as you see, it goes down in the chat room. Do not sit there quietly. By all means, put your thoughts out there in the chat room and offer. Let's go on to number 3, guys. It is 10:05. Let's go on to number 3. Put a number 3 in the chat room. Let's go to the third thing on my list of 10 steps towards bridging our painful racial divide, because I want to create solutions. We can sit and whine and complain all day. That's not my style. Let's find ways to fix it. That's what I did when I put this list together, when I found the list together, was let's try to create ways. And I want y'all tonight, from whatever racial position that you are in, every day I go out and don't see Popo until something happens. That's true, Flex. In some cases, that's true. But again, that's where we come in. And we can do something about that. Thank you for the 3s, guys. All right, here we go. Number 3. Okay, be a proactive parent. Talk to your children candidly about race. Don't sugarcoat it. I don't sugarcoat things with KL. Tiff and I do not sugarcoat things with KL when it comes to race. She understands her blackness, but we don't allow that to turn into a hatred of people who don't look like her. KL loves everybody. And I think the hardest for me as a father, her father, is to allow her to grow into that while still protecting her, but getting her to understand that not everybody's going to feel for you the way you feel for them, but go ahead and love them. And it's hard because I know what the real world is, but my hope is that she can change it because she's young enough to do that. So I have to give her that chance to do that. So the way that I do that is I arm her with knowledge. She is studying Mandarin Chinese, and she is doing her thing in the classroom. So as she grows, Santa Claus to the curb, need to stop. No, we don't. There's no Santa Claus in this house. There's no Santa Claus. There's no Easter Bunny. There's none of that. We don't believe in none of that. We told her a long time ago, Mommy and Daddy is Santa Claus. That's how she knows it. Daddy is Santa Claus. She knows. We don't play those games, because you have to strengthen our kids in such a way that our kids, hold on one second. It just pops up on window. I got to close it. There we go. Okay. So we have to be able to, and I know being inside the classroom, let's see, people in general, but why would you want to see the police if nothing, well, why would you want to see the police if nothing is going on? Because if police, Sean, I can respond to that, Sean, is because if you have police, if we have police that are concerned about the neighborhood, seeing them is not going to be a problem. Because if they're involved in what is happening and they get to know the people in the community, then not only does that help them police the community, it helps them with gaining an understanding. And it's harder to beat on somebody that you have a connection with. And so the hope is that when you see them, that they become more familiar with the neighborhood. A lot of times the people who are policing the neighborhoods have no connection to the neighborhood whatsoever. So when they jump out, they just see bodies and they beat on bodies. And it's actually what they taught. Tony says, I moved to a multicultural neighborhood for my sons now to deal with different ethnic backgrounds. No doubt. I understand that. And that's definitely one option. We live in a mixed community. Still, I have to tell them to know the rights. Oh, yeah, listen. We have to have the talk. And this is where when I talk to my white brothers and sisters, and actually one of the young brothers that I hang out with, he's in Louisiana right now, Adam, white guy, 27. So he's the same age as my son. But, you know, we connected through bowling. And he served in the armed services. And he's very opinionated. And we have some great conversations. But because I'm older, I can present some things to him that he literally says, you know what, Keith, I didn't think of it like that. But we're great friends. And him being white, that doesn't affect me in any way. But and what's great about it is him being an educator, I can now help him understand how to deal with black children. He was already doing some of that. So the opportunity for us to build with each other is there. And that's the thing, is that we have to build with those around us, because we have to, one, know what it is that we want, be doing that in our own community. So then we know what we want because we know what we need. Okay, let me see. Elevates tension. Got that, Flex. Tony says, still have to tell him about okay. Kim said, once you know a people's rhythm, you're less likely to kill. Exactly. All of you are correct. It is a proven fact that when you have a personal connection with somebody, it's harder to hurt them. I didn't say impossible, but it's harder. Now, it may still happen. Listen, we have things happen every day. But when you know somebody, when somebody can say, hey, you know me, we've shared some water together. Hey, you helped me change a flat. You know me. That little bit might be the difference of somebody coming home compared to somebody being in a box. Michelle said, we need police like that. And Stanford and Son, they knew the people. Yeah, hey, Fred. And the white guy was like, what's that? He always came in and didn't know. But yes, we do. We need police like that. And I know police like that. I've bowled with police like that. I've hung out and I still hang out. And I know police who do that. I worked in schools with police who did not look like the kids who did things like that. We need to learn more about McComics. We have to take that upon ourselves, Flex. Why? Because we have this right here, smartphone. Every one of you that has a smartphone, you have a connection to every library on the planet. Everyone needs to understand basic economics. And YouTube, Google and YouTube are free. There's nothing that you can't learn on Google and YouTube. Nothing. And I used to tell my students that there's no excuse. All you have to do is the simple word is how do I, how do you, how. All you got to do is put in how. Starts with the children, but you can't teach the children if you don't know yourself. Because how are you going to guide, how are you going to know if the children are doing it correctly? It's a twofold thing. So when you're going to have the talk with your children, you have to make sure you know what you're talking about. Because God knows how many children I've seen come into the class. My dad said, I'm like, oh, Lord, I don't want to knock what your dad said, but that ain't true. So we have to make sure that we know what we're talking about and I think the worst in the world is when I watch some of these police videos and I see brothers and sisters of color trying to spout legalese that you clearly know that they did not study, that they just got from a video. You're violating my rights. Okay, so what? I stole that car, but you did you just say you committed the crime? And you now talking about they violating your rights, but you stole it. You just said you stole a car. Some things we have to know. We have to know the amendments that we can lean on. We have to know what our rights are. We have to know economics. We have to know our history. There's no excuse not to know. There's none. There's none. Not with the technology. Not when our ancestors didn't have this much technology. They fought just to be able to read. And now we have the access to every library in the world, and we're not using that. We now can have somebody read to us. That's what I do. I have Audible. Somebody's reading to me. We need to educate ourselves. Of course, there you go. I agree with Leslie. Michelle says, yep, I learned how to fix clothes dryer, how to replace a disk drive on my computer by YouTube. Say, yes, of course. We have to. But there's no excuse not to know. There is no more excuse than I don't know. I would say from day one, I would tell students, this is what I'm going to take away from you in my class. I'm going to take away your ability to say, I don't know, and you've never met a teacher that cared. You're going to meet a teacher that cares, and we're not going to, I don't know is not an acceptable answer. It still is. Even when I'm doing therapy, I don't know is not an acceptable answer. Well, what do you know? And let's go with that. Tell me how you feel, and you will hear me say often when I'm working with kids, what does that look like? Because I want you to give me a description. Give it a face. Give me an idea what you're thinking, and then I'll take it from there. Common sense go along with common sense is not common. Flex, common sense is based on your experience. And if your experiences have been very negative, your common sense is not going to be that sharp. Because common sense is based on what you were exposed to. And many of us may not have been exposed to certain things, so common sense is not. That's why when you see some people do some stupid things, and you go, what were you thinking? That might be common to them. But the goal is to try to educate them so they can come away with a new understanding. Give you an example. If you grew up eating chuck steak, and your mom and your dad prepared a chuck steak in a fantastic way, you would fight to the death and go, chuck steak is the greatest steak that ever was made. And you go, bruh, chub steak is one of the cheapest steaks out there. And then you lay a Kobe beef steak in front of them. You lay a finer cut of steak in front of them. And then they have it. Now, here's what you've done. You've given them an opportunity to see that the information that they had was wrong. Now, if they then take that information and still choose to ignore it and still want to argue that chuck steak is better than Kobe beef, at that point, you leave them alone because they're gleefully ignorant. And some people are. Don't waste your time trying to fight with somebody who doesn't want it. I used to say this. If I throw you the life preserver and you're drowning and I throw you a life preserver and you throw it back into the boat, I'm not throwing it back out to you. I'm going to somebody else who needs it. I don't need meat. Oh, okay, Flex, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just telling you is because what happens is we are the product of our experiences. I know someone whose parents told them hush puppies were scalp. Really, Kim? Wow. And that's what I'm talking about, guys. And Wagyu beef, I see it, Michelle. That's what I'm talking about. But listen, we are the products of our experiences, and our common sense comes from those experiences. Now, here's the thing. When people fight you, until you've had a filet mignon or tea, but there you go. Hey, Sarah. But we have to keep teaching, though. We can't get so frustrated with ignorance that we don't offer. At least offer once. And then leave it alone. Like I said, I'll throw you the life preserver. But if you go, I don't like no blue life preserver. Negro, you drown. You know what? See ya. I'm going on the other side of the boat and toss it to somebody who need it. And fortitude. There you go. And Kim, I've seen that. And you know what you do? You go, you keep on eating your hush puppies. You know, enjoy. I'm going to go. Because at that point, what can you do? Remember, don't fight with ignorance, guys. Offer ignorance knowledge and then leave it alone. If an ignorant person doesn't want it, now, like I'm going to go back to number 3. As parents, you have to have a candid conversation with your children and answer their questions. And if you can't answer it, just simply say, that's a great question. Tell you what, give me a day. Let me get that answer and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then come back to them. Say, I looked that up what you asked. Do you know? And if they say, Mom, that's not right. Or Mom, that's not true. Don't say, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop right there. Say, tell you what, let's look it up together. And if you're wrong, admit you're wrong. Because then that means your child is growing. That means your child knows something you don't know. Okay, cool. That's a good thing. Feed that. You want your children to surpass you anyway, because your children are going to be the thing that hold this down once we're gone. So we got to arm them with as much as we can. We want our children to be better than us. Some of us do. Tiff and I have ran into some parents who don't want their children to be better than them, so hence they keep their children just beneath them, which is sad, but it's true. Also help build the bond with your child, without question, Flex. And that's what you should be doing. Even if you're not there in the house, even if you are independent from each other, you have to. Just because my ex-wife and I got separated, divorced, doesn't mean I wasn't going to be there for my sons. I was. Ain't nothing to do with her. I picked them up every weekend that I was supposed to, the times that I was supposed to. And even to this day, we still kick it and talk, whatever, because my bond with them had nothing to do with what fell apart between their mom and I. I'm still going to be a dad. And we have to make sure, back to the racial part, is that we are always getting more intelligent ourselves. We're getting ourselves to a point where we're moving ourselves so we can impart that. And if our children are very inquisitive, that keeps us on our toes. I don't stop KO from asking me questions, and Lord knows she asks a lot. She keeps me on my toes. I'm feeding her at 6, and I'm going to keep feeding her. Because at some point, she's going to have to take this mantle and run with it. I'm not going to be here. And that's how we protect them. Fill them with as much as we can, while we can. Because we already seen with these crazy times, we don't know how much time we got. Between the racial situation and COVID, man, come on. People is getting killed in their house. Rest in peace to Breonna Taylor, who they just did dirty today. But this is what we live. This is the world we live in, guys. And we got to fight. And we fight intelligently. You don't throw your life away. You fight intelligently. And you pass that on to our children. Okay. Number 4, guys. Let's keep it going. Number 4. Number 4. This one is going to be tough for some people. Trust me, I know. Number 4. Number 4. Hey, Kim. Great to have you here, love. Number 4. Number 4 is going to be tough for a lot of us. Number 4 is going to be tough for a lot of us. Come on. Put 4s up. Where's the 4s? And while I'm waiting on the number 4s, you're watching Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10:30. Glad to have you. And remember, it goes down in the chat room. So when you put your voice in the chat room, bring your A game, because they ain't no slouches in the chat room. They're going to have some words for you. All right, I see a 4. There we go. Must teach our people to be careful, not fearful. There you go. There you go. There you go. I agree with that, Flex. Okay, here we go. Number 4. Got a couple number 4s. Don't tell or laugh at stereotypical jokes. It's a tough one. Don't tell or laugh at stereotypical jokes. Now, I'm going to be honest with you because there's no reason for me not to be transparent with you. In the company of my home or with my friends, there are certain jokes that I may say that I will never say in public. So with number 4, I'm going to put a little question mark because I do understand why they say don't tell or laugh. But if a joke is funny, it's funny. But I am respectful of people's feelings. So there are things that I will say in the presence of my wife and my friends inside my home that I will never say outside, simply because I do not want to disrespect anyone outside of my home. So not in mixed company. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you saying that. And there it is. Now, we know that some people don't have filters. And you know how you know when you're in the room with somebody who don't have a filter and they say something, you go, ooh, who said that? And you kind of want to hit the door because you're like, oh, please don't be black. Please. Oh. And certain jokes, you know who said it. Certain jokes, when you heard it, you was like, and the reason why you don't want to open up that door in mixed company, as Kim put, and thank you for putting that, Kim, is because what's funny to you may not be funny to somebody else. And having been a dean on the high school, middle school, and junior and elementary level, I don't know how many times I would have to explain to a child that even though you thought the joke was funny, if it hurt somebody else, it wasn't funny. And some folks don't understand it because they think if the masses laughed, then it's okay for that other person to be hurt. Kim said, I don't want you to get too comfortable with my black. There you go. I agree with that, Kim. I can rock with that. Sometimes people get so comfortable. Hey, Kim, check it out. The black man. Hold on, bro. That ain't funny. You ever see somebody's face when they think that y'all cool and they tell a joke and you go, that's not funny. And they don't know how to get themselves out of it. Like, they don't know what to do because they was expecting a big laugh from you. And you're like, you thought that was funny? Think about what you're thinking about. Exactly. There's nothing funnier when somebody goes for the big home run, especially if it's, and it's funny when it's the other way around too. If you ever see black folks tell a joke and a white guy goes, I don't get it. And you start seeing black people panic because they don't know what to do. It happens on both sides. But there's nothing funnier when you're in a group of people and you might be the only black person. They tell that black joke and you go, and everybody is looking at you to see if it was okay, because if you're not laughing, then they know they screwed up. You're waiting for me to laugh, right? It wasn't funny. Now everybody's panicking. That's when you start asking people for money. They'll gladly throw it at you so you don't become an angry black man. Who's buying me lunch tomorrow? I will, Keith. I will. I'm sorry for that joke. They'll be apologizing for that joke for like 3 months. Hey, that joke I told back in the lunchroom, I'm sorry about that. I got a big nose, Flex. Really? Damn. Flex just hit me with that. Really, Flex? I got a big nose? I'm saying it fits my body. Kim said, I worked in transit. The only women in a company of men, white boys will try. Oh, that's it. Oh, you ain't got to tell me. Transit, teachers, police, correction officers. I know, Naja. I know you're just messing with Flex. I'm just messing with you. Everybody panics. Exactly, Tony. But you know what's funny? Especially when you work on city jobs where you have people coming from all walks of life. And you guys, I know a lot of you that don't live in the New York City area, New York City has a ton of different agencies: sanitation, transit, New York City Department of Education, Department of Corrections, Fire Department, and you have a ton of others. And I know I'm missing a lot. And they come from mixed bags because a lot of them are examined tests. And when you take the test, pass it, you get the job. So you have people coming from all walks of life with the jobs. And you will literally have people that working together that would never hang out. Now, you guys who don't bowl, I got quite a few bowlers here in the group. When you're at the bowling alley, when you're bowling in the league, or if you bowl in like the UBA, which Flex and I are a part of. Well, I'm not. Well, I'm a part of it. I'm not going back bowling anytime soon. But when you bowl in league, you are all of a sudden mixed in with some people that you probably would never hang out with on a regular, that you have to kind of learn to get cool with. And it can be very interesting when people get to drinking. And you get to see the real them when that filter starts to come down a little bit. Woo, Lord, some of the things you hear. All right. Oh, it's already 10:30. Wow. Okay, so we got number 5. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this tonight, but we'll see. We got number 5. Put a 5 in the chat room, everybody. Put a 5 up in the chat room. Let's keep it going. Put a 5 in the chat room. Let's keep it going. So I'm gonna go right on to number 5. And Flex, you just said this, so I think you was reading my notes. Think before you speak. Words can hurt whether you mean them or not. That should be a part of your repertoire regardless of your color. Herman Edwards, ESPN fame. Herman Edwards said, if you got to think twice, don't hit send. Let's see. Kim says, my girlfriend took a trip to a plantation in Charleston. They talked about slavery and had a couple slave cabins. We were the only blacks in the tour. The white people didn't know what to do with it. That's, you know, what's funny is that's one of the tours that if they would have asked me, I'd have been like, nope. Cause I know me. If I hear something, if I would want to go where I could kind of just vibe out by myself. But to be honest with you, if I went with some folks that didn't look like me and I heard something I wasn't supposed to hear and the spirits of my ancestors jump up, Lord knows what might happen. So I don't know. But yeah, that's always a difficult thing. And I think what's interesting, as an educator, I have been with other educators and have watched some things come out their mouths as you go, well, if you mean for your words are hurt, then swing for the fences, Kim. You know, listen, if that's, again, like anything else, choose your words wisely. If that's what you were going for, then do what you got to do. I think like anything else, we just have to be careful of how we're talking. If you weren't planning on hurting somebody, if hurt was what you were after, then do you, because you're still an adult and you're going to say what you got to say. And some people, listen, we hear it all the time. People are enamored with Trump because they're like, he says what he says. No, he's a liar, but some people rock with that. And some people enjoy that. Some people like that. We didn't know, but it was interesting. We just wanted to take some tours. I got you. I know you, Kim. That's what I'm saying. If you wanted to hurt, then say it. See, the thing is, you choose your words for whatever fits that situation. I'm a writer, so I know the power of words. And I know what words to use at certain times. Like, I'm not big on cussing anymore. I try to cut down on cussing. I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to actually sit and say I don't cuss. I try to cut down on cussing. But I do know where curse words go and how to use them effectively. I have a salty mouth if I decide to let it go. And please don't get me angry, because I will. Ooh. Don't let the laughing and joking and teddy bearness go to your head, because I'm an intellectual gangster. Because I will destroy you intellectually. And I don't have to put my hands on you. But if you want those two, I'm an equal opportunist beater. I'll beat you with the left or the right. So which one you want? And I'm very disrespectful and arrogant at the same time, and don't care if I'm in that mode. Okay, here we go. Number 6. We're going to try to finish this by 10:45. So I'm going to take about 15 minutes. Number six. Here we go. So I'm going to go right into number 6. Number 6, guys. Here we go. Be a role model and help educate others regarding your own experiences. Now, this is important. Take the time to teach the people who are open to learn something about your culture. If you have allies, if you have black friends, if you have white friends, if you have Asian friends, if you have Latino friends, I don't care who your friends are, take the time to learn about their culture and to teach them. Educate, educate, educate. Never be scared to learn and never be scared to teach. Because the best time to have those conversations is when y'all have mutual interests, whether it's work related, hobby related, business, whatever it is. Take the opportunity to have conversations. I had a guy cuss all around me. The fellas told him to keep it quiet. He said, it's nothing she hasn't heard before. I politely stated, what to do. You expect coming from the front. Kim, they don't know, Kim. They don't know what they're dealing with, someone like you. But yes, guys, be a role model. And I know some people don't want to be a role model, but you can be it in your own circles. I'm not asking you to go out and do what I do. I'm not I'm talking at the detention center tomorrow. I have a standing gig every Thursday from 12:30 to 1:15. So those 45 minutes, I'm trying to help the young men that are in the prison. I'm not asking them. And I do therapy and I do counseling. I'm not asking anybody to do what I do. I am saying on your level, in your circles, be a role model. Which means you have to first start with you, with bettering yourself. That's all I'm asking. That's the reason why I do this right here. Is because I like the fact that you guys come and hang out, but I also want to reach you with whatever I can bring to the table and you take it back to your circles. And that's what we have to do. We have to share about ourselves so other people can learn. If we want this racial thing to change, we have to address it. We can't sit back and wait for somebody else to do it for us. And we definitely can't wait for somebody to do it for ourselves. We have to do it for ourselves first. Be the example. Gandhi says, be the light that you want to see in the world. I live by that. Because if you want to see it, be it. If you want it to happen, become it. So somebody can say, I met this brother that was, wow, you know, he was deep. Or, yo, I met this brother. Yes, okay, I can be that. But you don't have to be that for everybody. Just be it in your circles. Be it in your family. Check your family when you know they sideways on something. Correct them when you know they're wrong. And if they don't want to hear it, leave them alone and go deal with somebody else. All right, on to number 7. On to number 7. Here we go. Okay. Going on to number 7, guys. Number 7. Don't make assumptions because they are usually wrong and stereotypes are destructive. Now, when I wrote that one down when I was doing the research and I saw that they had that one on the list, I said, if you don't know this one, come on, man. You must be a super rookie. Because we all know you don't make assumptions. You can't assume anything about anybody. Because if you're not actually going to have a conversation and get to know somebody, you can't make assumptions. You can't say, oh, you know, he's a big guy, she's small, she's black, he's white. Oh, they look poor, he look rich. Man, and social media creates that problem. There's more assumptions going on social media than anything else. We look at somebody's profile page, we automatically think they doing great and they struggling. We automatically think somebody doing whatever because of what they put out. Get to know some of the people that you jockeying, and you're going to start to realize they doing as bad as you, maybe not even doing as good as you, or maybe they want the life that you have simply because they front. And with the racial part, don't make assumptions, but let me tell you something. When a person shows you who they are, stop playing with them. See, that's the one thing that Trump has blessed us with, if you want to say anything, is that he's blessed us to be able to see that we have some folks on our timelines and some of our friends list that shouldn't have been there. And this whole political thing has exposed some things that I've had to look at some folks and go, you know what? And I'm talking about black and white. There were some folks I had to clean up and go, you got to go because you toxic. Black and white. But there was definitely some exposure to some folks that you had no idea how they felt until you started seeing what they was about. I go by the code of they are okay people and they're yes, Kim, very true. And yes, we all have one, but some people love to show theirs off with their face. But you are so true. And I think we all have to have some type of thing that for me, when you're vile, when you seem to take joy in disrespecting other people, you got to go. You're entitled to your opinion around me. I ain't got no problem with that. I deal with atheists. I don't deal with racists, because racists, you want to destroy people that look like me. I don't have a problem if you prejudice. You don't like black people just because you don't like the way black people behave, if that's your thing, okay. But when you're a racist and you literally want to try to see me destroyed, or you're okay with the destruction of someone that looks like me, I can't mess with you. I ain't trying to have a conversation with you. I'm not trying to teach you nothing. I got to let you go, because if you're okay with the death of somebody simply because you think your race is greater than mine, it's not for me to teach you. I'm not that dude. Now, I'm not saying they can't be taught. I'm saying I'm not the person for that position. Michelle said, when somebody shows you, yes, believe them. And that's another thing, too, is we got to know our limitations, guys. We have to know what we can and cannot rock with. Don't be out here with a cape on thinking you Superman or woman and you can't deal with what you're putting into motion. I know there's just certain things with certain races I can't deal with, because it's going to be very hard for me to not want to lay hands on them. So certain things are not for me, and I'm okay with that. I will continue to do what I do from the position that I do it. But I will definitely look to support those who are better off with what they do than me. So I go there, and and it is what it is. All right, number 8. We're finishing up, guys. Let me see what you say, Michelle. Michelle said, my friends list dwindled daily since the administration showed us that, yeah. When I have time, what I do is I don't have time to go through my friends list and get rid of people. What I do is, as they put up certain posts, and I look at it and be like, what? Okay, delete. I don't even ask no questions, delete. Because I don't have time to go through my friends list to try to figure out who don't need to be there, because it's too much time for that. As you expose yourself, you go. And I don't block you, I just delete you. Some I just unfollow because I don't want to see what you write. So I want you to see me, and some I just don't want to have any connection. Let me see what Tony said. Let me see what Kim said. I have a coworker that talked about blacks. She's like me. Wait, I think she do. Now I'm thinking, but I do put her in her place. I got you, Tony. Kim said, yep, well, you read my timeline with that fool. I'm keeping him just in case some stuff goes down by him. Yeah, I read, and like I said, Kim, it was your interaction with him that made me think about what I wanted to talk about tonight, because I like the fact that it is what it is. You were being you, which I'm accustomed to. But it was also the fact that he was pushing Candace Owens' book that caught my attention. That he was pushing somebody who's a known race baiter. That bothered me. Because a lot of folks, they delete themselves most times. Well, sometimes they don't, Tony. They like to hang out and watch because they're looking for openings to try to call you on some foolishness because they know they're on some foolishness. What I'm careful of with some folks, Kim, is I watch if people are pushing people who I know have agendas. Because then I know they're dangerous. And when I saw him push Candace Owens' book and I seen you basically give him the business, I was like, all right, cool. But I wasn't feeling where he was coming from, but I knew you were going to handle it, and you did handle it. But I just, with certain people, I'll delete them. First, I'll unfollow because I don't want to see what you post. Or I might delete you, and to get blocked is where you just said something that was just rudely disrespectful about the Lord or just people in color in general. That'd get you blocked because I just don't have time. I ain't trying to explain it to you. If that's what you feel, okay, do you. This ain't the place. All right, number 8. Here we go. Number 8. Consider how race and racism impact your life and those around you. He the type that will read stuff that supports it. Oh, yeah. I went by his page and looked. It was a little mixture, but I seen a lot of Trump support there, and I seen him supporting the agenda. So I was like, okay, it is what it is. He's not my friend. I just wanted to take a peek at who you're talking to. I simply block and don't want to deal with them at all. I got you, Michelle, and that's something. But number 8, consider how race and racism impacts your life and those around you. And again, it goes back to what Flex was talking about earlier, but we have to, and it was what I was saying to you guys earlier, we have to police ourselves, and we have to understand what the effect of racism has been on us, because we got to know that when the opportunity comes, what to say and what to ask for. That's why you have to keep yourself in a position of learning, always trying to get information from multiple places. Don't just listen to things from the same outlet. And I've seen that with COVID. People are watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, but they're not listening to anybody else. I listen pretty much daily to Sirius XM, Urban View, channel 126, Urban View, because all black host, Monday through Friday and on the weekend, and they bring on a ton. Yes, I definitely, yeah, I saw that. I realized that when you're talking about his father's store, and I looked at his history. But Urban View is what I listen to because I like to listen to the black perspective in a lot of different areas, as well as I watch Fox. I can get in about 10 minutes and then I can't watch anymore. I'll watch CNN sometimes. I watch MSNBC, but then I like to do my own research. I like to go and look, and I like to go see some of the independent bloggers and other folks just to see some of the information that they put out. The thing that I'm very careful of is I'm very careful on resources. I want you to say, I watch MSNBC too, but I realize that they have an agenda as well. And the thing that makes me unhappy with MSNBC, even though I pay attention to them, is that the black folks don't push enough for black issues. They bring black viewpoint, but they don't really talk enough about black issues. And the sad part is they're on the show for that reason, because they don't talk about black issues. When you watch MSNBC, you're going to see Wesley Johnson. You're going to see the Pulitzer Prize brother, the old Eugene. You're going to see Miss Alcindor. You're going to see quite a few. And they're going to tell you how things are going on in white America, but you're going to, Joy Reid, who got her own show, you're going to notice that they don't drum down on things that really need to be discussed in the black community. They give it a overall smooth conversation, but they don't really actually discuss a black agenda. Same thing with CNN. Don Lemon he'll discuss a lot, but he doesn't really drill down on certain black issues because the networks are not going to let him. That's another reason why I don't get so caught up in everything that they say, because they don't give you all of the information, because they're still owned by networks who don't really care that much about people of color. That is why you don't see Joy Reid is the only black host on MSNBC. The other brother that comes in, he'll fill in sometimes at 12 o'clock. I forget what his name is. He'll fill in sometimes, and then they letting other black folks pretty much audition for Joy Reid's show. But you got Al Sharpton, Joy Reid are like the only two, I think, that have their own show and stuff like that. Just want the black vote to show up, or what do you want the black vote to do, Flex? Because we had a lot of black people sit out in the last election. And we had close to 8% black males vote for Trump in the last election in 2016. A lot of black people voted for Trump in 2016. I can get past Joy Reid's wig and her stuff. Joy got new wigs now. Them checks is bigger, Kim. You better pay attention now. She getting her wig game and got tighter now since she getting them bigger checks with her name on the show. If you see it now, she got that little curl there to cover up. Well, I ain't gonna talk about the sister, but me and Tiff vote for black issues. Well, that's the thing, is we have to have somebody who's actually the candidates who were dealing with black issues. Black folks didn't vote for, Flex. Black folks did themselves dirty, because Wang and the Spanish gentleman, I can't think of his name. They had black issues. They had put black policies on the table. No one voted for them. Castro, there it is. Castro and Wang. They both had platforms that dealt directly with issues for people of color, and people of color didn't support them, so they had to drop out the race. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about. What, the wigs for Joy? But these are the things that we have to pay attention to, and we have to be careful of where we're getting our information, and we have to go to sources. Like every Saturday, Professor Austin Carr. Don Lemon is on CNN, I believe, Jackie, not MSNBC. Don Lemon's on CNN, 10 o'clock on CNN, I believe. Because Lawrence O'Donnell is on 10 o'clock on MSNBC. Don Lemon's on CNN. I believe it's 10 o'clock at night. But The new ones. Yeah, she was going through it for a time. On her Sunday show, it's like, Joy, would you just roll out of bed? Me and Tiff would be like, Tiff's like, what's up with Joy's hair? I'm like, I don't know. And he'd be looking crazy. But anyway, guys, what we have to do is, we have to get our, like I was saying, on Saturdays, Professor Austin Carr and Karen Hunter, who has a show on Urban View, 3 o'clock, 3 to 6, every Monday through Friday on Urban View. She's a Pulitzer Prize winner. She's actually a professor at Hunter College. And Austin Carr, I think is his name, he's another professor. They drill down on a lot of issues for things of color on Saturdays on YouTube. So look up YouTube Karen Hunter and you'll see it. But we have to go to people who we can learn from. That part, pacing the back ahead, yes. Jamila says people need to learn how to find primary sources. And news should come with disclaimers if they're going to pass opinions or point. Well, they stopped putting out disclaimers a long time, Jamila. And I agree with you, but they don't do it anymore. Actually, let me tell you this, guys. If you do a Google search Keith Belvin and CNN. I was on CNN when I had the situation with my daughter, when I turned my daughter over to the police. I did an interview. I was on the Rick Sanchez show, November of 2007. And when I was on the show, he was asking me questions. And it was funny how he was trying to trick me up. Because he said, aren't you mad at your daughter? I said, no. I'm sad for her. Because I know she knew better. And you should have saw his face like, really? Because he was trying to bait me into what he said. Okay, so I did the Rick Sanchez show. All the local news, channel ABC, CBS, NBC, they took the interview and they pulled what they wanted to fit the narrative that they were saying. Well, here's the father of the daughter that beat up the person on the train and he's showing remorse. Another one say, here's the father and he's showing that he doesn't care. Same interview, but they pulled what they wanted and used what they wanted. So what we have to be careful is they can get away, Jamila, with saying that it really is news when it's not. But because they're not lying per se, but they're shaping the narrative. Then the Daily News, New York Daily News, and you can look it up. If you look up New York Daily News and you look up Keith Belvin, you will see the newspaper article that the guy interviewed me, and he basically took the last part that I said, made it first, took the second part, made it last, took the middle part, the first part, made it second, just twisted my words around. And what that taught me was that every time you hear an athlete or an entertainer say, I was misquoted, and we go, but I heard you say, trust me when I tell all of you. Look up, just do a Google search, CNN, Keith Belvin. You will see the transcript. The video is no longer there, but you will see the transcript. If you scroll down, you will see my conversation with Rick Sanchez. And they literally, with the local news in New York City, cut that all up and used it the way that they wanted. I had to show my daughter the actual interview so she could see that I didn't call her an animal. I said they acted like animals. And if she has to face whatever she's going to face, then she's going to face it. And this is very important when we talk about primary sources. And I agree with you, Jamila. We have to be able to do research on our own. And Jamila can tell you, her husband and I share information with him because I try to protect anybody who I know has children because I've been on this virus since it started because there's so much that they're not sharing with us. My friend in Italy had told Tiff and I back in February what to be on the lookout for. That's why Tiff was able to get all the cleaning supplies and everything that we needed. So we were straight. We had all the hand sanitizer, gloves. We had everything. Did you know that, what's the other one? Can be used as a disinfectant. I can't think of the one with the sister that opens up the, not Palmolive. It'll come to me. That can be used as a disinfectant as long as you don't dilute it. You can put it in spray bottles and clean it up just like Lysol. The one that the sister opens up and smells the bottle, the one that the heavy-set sister that they need to put some makeup on her face. I can't think of the name of it. Pine Sol. There we go. Oh, Lord. Pine Sol. You can use Pine Sol, but don't mix it with water. Use it in a non-diluted way and use that, and it's just as good as using Lysol if you do the research. So we had everything that we needed in the house back in February because My partner in Italy had already shared with us what they were dealing with there. And he said, don't trust what your government's telling you, because I can tell you right now, this thing is bad. And sure enough, all of a sudden, March is when everything shut down. But we were already ahead of the game in early February. Amen. When Trump said he was downplaying it severely, he wasn't playing. No, he wasn't. That was the real Trump that you heard on the Bob Woodward. No, they're not making it anymore, Kim. They're not making it available for regular retail. That's how much of it we ran out of. All right? You can use pine soil, but do not dilute it. Get the larger bottle and pour it directly into your spray bottle in the heavy concentrated form. You can use that as a disinfectant. Very powerful disinfectant. But yes, the Trump that you heard on the tapes, and I find it crazy that Trump did 19 tapes and nobody's talking about it. The news is not talking about it anymore. They were for like a hot week or two, and now we're on to the next news story. Guys, please go and Google search the 19 tapes of Bob Woodward and listen to what this man said. And what he said in private is how he really feels. And we have to know these things to be able to make the decisions that we're going to make. My daughter's not going back into anybody's school until things calm down. And she's doing well on remote learning. We might just keep her doing that, because we were prepared to homeschool if they were like, kids got to go back to school. Not happening. Yes, we're limiting it out. Okay, there we go. But this is very important, guys. Yes, and I know, oh, listen, I know when Ronell told me what you do, I was like, I know you know. I know you know, because you actually literally, because one of the things that, and this is where, and again, guys, not to turn this into a civics lesson, we have to become understanding of the way people move to understand how politicians move. And then we have to make the decisions that's best for the people in our circles. Because politicians are going to do what they do. Look, you're literally watching the Republicans go, yeah, so what, we did that to Obama and said that, but now we're in power, so we're going to say what we want and do what we want. So you just going to act like we didn't see what you did? No, they don't care. So once somebody shows you that they don't care, man, please. Exactly. None of the politicians are sending their kids to school, but yet they sending other people's children to die. Listen, last night I found out, now I was watching MSNBC last night, found out that the CDC, who sends a group of people out that I did know about, who do investigations, they changed their investigation output. The investigation summary, the Trump people changed it, which means people were dying in these factories and it was okay. But what people should have already known is that when you saw that people were dying at the borders, children, when you take children and allow them to be put in cages, you knew that they were capable of anything. Anything. But I digress. Let's go to these last two, guys. I knew I was going to be here tonight. Let's go to number 9, and then we're going to go to number 10. And I love the conversation. I love that. Yeah, it was sad, because I knew that the investigators do the summaries, because I still get the emails from the CDC as a former health teacher. But now, because the CDC is tainted, I don't even bother to read them. But I had told everybody back in May, I did 2 videos. If you go to my YouTube page, Keith K.L. Belvin, go back to May, I did 2 videos on, are you going to send your kids back to school? Because I was telling them about MIS-C. MIS, multiple inflammatory syndrome in children. It is an offshoot of the coronavirus that is killing kids. It has been found in 43 states and in 17 other countries. And we just had a child, 1-year-old, die in Detroit from it. MIS-C. If you remember, I did the videos back in, thank you, Jamila. I did those videos back in May, and I reached out to every one of the parents that I knew personally, was like, yo, be careful of this. And now you're starting to see children die from this. Please just go look it up. MIS-C. Okay, number 9. Here we go. Don't let others get away with biased language or behavior. Speak up and speak out. Thank you, Jamila. And listen, it's about saving lives. I don't care who gets offended. I broke down the whole CDC regulations before they made all these changes. But number 9, don't let others get away with biased language or behavior. Speak up and speak out. Guys, listen. You tell a sideways joke around me, I'm going to go, you thought that was funny? And the face won't change, and I'm almost daring somebody to say something. And I have had to blow people up, especially as teaching. I've had somebody say, look, they animals anyway. I said, who's Charlie you calling an animal? What is wrong with you? How about we get her on the phone right now and tell her that you just called her son an animal? Calm down, Belvin. Calm down, Belvin. About what? No, calm down what? You just called somebody's child an animal. How dare you? And you know what the funny thing is? When you see that fear in their eyes, oh my God, he's one of them. Yeah, I am. Don't let the education fool you. You forgot what skin color I am? But don't let it get you to the point that you lose your job over it. Please understand. That's not an argument that's necessary then. Just check them. Just check them. Don't check them. Check them with the mouth. Don't check them with this. Don't give them the 2-piece and be out of a job. Give them the verbal lashing and give them the look. Don't try not to blink. It'll make you tear up. And then they think that you're really hurting inside. It's just because your eyes need to be liquefied so the water will stop. But just hold them open. If you ever watch actors, that's actually what they're doing. They'll hold their eyes open so they'll start to tear. And then they can go, then they blink and then the tear runs down. I learned that one day. But yes, number 9, don't let others get away with biased language or behavior. Speak up and out. Very important, guys. We have to start being the voices. And that goes for people who are white on the other side, too. Say something. All right? We have to be able to come together. And for my Christian brothers and sisters, I don't know how you quiet. What Jesus you following? Where's the church in all this? And we're going to have a conversation about that. Check them, but don't check them. Exactly. But where's the church in all this? The church is so silent, it's ridiculous. We're going to have a conversation about that. Not tonight, though. All right, last one. Y'all ready for number 10? Let's go with number 10, guys. Come on, last one. Last one. And again, to any of my white brothers and sisters that are going to watch this video that are in the group, we're not anti-anything in this group. The doors are open here for you to come. Your opinions are needed. Your opinions will be considered. Yes, where's the church? We did a whole video about that. Okay, there we go. Church is quiet, and especially after Ronell sent me that video of my man making fun of folks wearing masks, and then 4 people get infected at the church. I was like, Lord help me. All right, here we go, guys. Last one. And I just want to say that again to all the brothers and sisters who are not of color. Please do not feel your voice has to be removed. Please speak up. Please talk. And if you don't understand, now is a great time to come into the chat room and just say, hey, guys, I'm white. I don't get it. Maybe I'm white, and I want you to know I'm going to support whatever. And if you're black and you don't get it, open up your mouth. We're here to teach. Don't be scared. All right, number 10. Here we go, guys. Last one for the night. Take a position against hate and take a stand against racism. We all have to fight this fight. We all have to stand up with what we know is wrong. Now is no longer the time to be quiet. It is not somebody else's fight. How can you fight? Vote. How can you fight? Give money to people who are already in the fight. How can you fight? Volunteer your time. How can you fight? Become knowledgeable. How can you fight? Pass on that knowledge. How can you fight? Teach your kids. How can you fight? Making sure that the people at work know that you're not the person to play with. How can you fight? There's many ways to fight. You fight on your level. Don't fight on mine. Fight your battles. Don't fight mine. Because if everybody just fights from their position, we start to win this fight. We start to change the tides. Now, we're not going to completely get rid of racism because there's always going to be evil people in the world, black and white. But if we fight from our position, until this bus, the church is open. There you go. I'm going to stream until there you go. This thing busts over. There you go. Listen, fight your fight. Yes, fight your. There you go. Start the dancing, Jimmy. Let's go. Praise the Lord. Let's go. Grab the dress. Come on, Lord. Come on in down here, Lord. But the idea is fight from your position. Don't fight somebody else's fight. If you're married, you and your husband get in the fight. You and your wife get in the fight. If you practice an alternative lifestyle, you still can fight if you got this skin color because they're going to get at you too. Fight. But fight from your position. But just keep learning, keep growing, and keep sharing. And invite allies to the table. Don't become so hard and black that you forget that even Malcolm X said white people can come and fight with me. And you ain't no harder than Malcolm X. We can't exclude our brothers and sisters who want to fight with us. But here's a little something I'll tell you. If they really want to be our ally, then their hands got to be as dirty as mine to protect us. Don't fight, stand off to the side saying, yeah, brother, it's a shame what they're doing to you. You need to be in here fighting with me. I have seen what that looks like. And I stand with brothers and sisters who don't have this same skin color, but they fight. And they fight harder than some folks that have this skin color. We've seen the Candace Owens and some of the other folks out here who will tell you it's not that bad because, and let me, if I can find it, I'll put it in the group. There's a clip from Roots where Fiddler is explaining to Kunta Kinte that he doesn't sleep on dirt floors. He gets an extra piece of fatback or cornbread. Master gives him a little rum in his tea when he's sick. And I'm going to give all that up because you want to run away. And Kunta Kinte basically tells him, but Fiddler, freedom is worth all that. And what we got to be careful of, guys, very, very careful. And I heard this a long time ago. Be careful of the slaves who started to accept being slaves. Now you project that out to these times here. Be careful of those folks of color who start to tell you things are not that bad. Be careful of them. I'm not going to say eliminate them because, we got crazy folks out here and then they start out here shooting people. But be very careful of any person of color who tells you things are not that bad. Cut that person off quickly. White women's tears are a dangerous thing, Kim. We have to see if those tears are connected to action. Not just crying because they're emotional. Crying because they are in the mix with you. If they're in the mix with you, then you got to go with what you see. But if they're on the sideline telling you how bad things are and they crying, but they not getting in the mix with you, be careful. Because Tiff got one on her page. I had to get rid of her. She was crying and talking about how she was so supportive of the sisters. And y'all know how much I care about y'all. And I'm so glad to be a part. And something didn't sit right with me. So I went back to check out her page. Straight MAGA supporter. So I called her on it. And I said, can I ask you a question? How can you rock with my wife and all these other women, but be a supporter of the Trump folks on your page? How does that work? How do you rock with the people who are getting killed and then rock with the killers? And she tried to hit me. And let me tell you something, when they hit you with the, you don't understand. See, that's an insult to your intelligence. That don't answer my question. Don't let them hit you with the, so you just don't understand, Keith. What? Negro, please. Jamila said, yes, trying to tell you accept the new slavery. Candace Owens is, yeah, she is, and you know why she's dangerous? Because she's attractive to other cultures. She's attractive intellectually, and she's attractive to her hue and her skin color. And this is a woman that won a case with the NAACP because she was mistreated as a woman of color. And I don't know what black man hurt her, but she hates men of color, attacks them every chance she gets. No, I'm talking about the tears of hurting her. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, without question. But you got to be careful with them, Kim. But anytime you deal with any person of color who starts to hit you with the, it's not that bad, and people got to understand. And when they start attacking our heroes, see, you can disagree with our heroes of color. But when they start attacking them for those that don't look like us, those are the ones you quickly run away from. They go under the bus first because they're the ones that's going to run back to the big house and knock on the door and go, Master, them Negroes is running away. Can I get an extra piece of cornbread? Yes, boy. Here you go. Thank you, Master. As Malcolm X said, we's got a big house, Master. We sick, Master. Fine day we's has here, don't we, Master? Those are the ones you got to be careful of. And to my Haitian brothers and sisters, I want you to go look up Mackandal. Mackandal was a Haitian revolutionary who had the idea that he was going to hide the most intelligent of the Haitians up in the mountains, and then they were going to poison all the white people in the community as well as themselves, killing everybody, and then the super intelligent folks were going to come down, clean up, and have Haiti all to themselves. Well, one Negro was like, no, I don't want to die. So he went to the white men and said, look, Mackandal and them are trying to plan on something to kill y'all. So they rounded them all up And before they hung Mackendell, he said to them, let me tell you something. How can I trust you if you calling the popo on my men? That's why you got to see what they all about before you hang out with them, Kim. No doubt. So before they put the rope around Mackendell's neck, the dude who snitched was next to him being hung too. And he's like, why are you hanging me? I told you what they were going to do. And the white man said to him, if you were turning your own people, then what would you do to mine? So he hung him. So before Mackendell was hung, he said, let me explain something to you. God will have the final say so. You can kill me, but I will be back in another form. Do what you have to do. And so they killed them all. And some people think the child general, Pierre Toussaint, is the reincarnation of Mackendell because they could not understand how Pierre Toussaint was so gifted as a young general, and he led the overthrow of the slave oppressors in Haiti, and that's how Haiti gained their first independence, one of the first black country to free themselves from their bondage, and then treated like trash by the French and had to pay debts, which caused them to be poor, which then caused them to become one of the poor countries when at one time they were one of the richest. How do I know that? Both of my sons are Haitian. My ex-wife is Haitian. And I got to understand her history more than I got to understand her. But that's another story for another day. But I'm just telling you, learn the history and you'll see it's chock full of so much that you can learn to be able to share with your children, to share with your brothers and sisters, share with other folks. And Kim, those white folks who stand on the sideline, don't mess with them. You'll know because they'll be in the mix with you. They'll literally be asking you, can I help? And they're going to get dirty with you. The Republicans are still mad about the Obama repeal the sanctions in Haiti and Cuba. Yeah, but that's why they quickly got rid of them. They were mad at Obama for a whole lot of other things too, Jamila. But unfortunately, Obama played himself too. Because the one thing that Trump showed us is that if you're willing just to put it out there, there's some things you could have did with executive orders that Obama could have did as well. But that's not his style. Plus, we didn't push him enough as people of color. We were so happy to have him there that we didn't push him into more fights that could have helped us. So we live and we learn. We may not see another black president for a while, but we just might if your man Biden knock off and Kamala is right there. But, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Kamala Harris, but I'm not a detractor. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a detractor. And the reason why she had a chance to put Steve Mnuchin in jail and she didn't do it for the banking crimes in California, and she chose to go a different route for information to take back to their side. Well, we got to be careful of spies. There's always going to be espionage, Kim. There's always going to be spies, black spies, white spies. There's always going to be spies. Listen, the Black Panthers were destroyed internally from black spies. There's always going to be spies who come and hang out, lay down, whatever, and then take it back to the other side. We just have to make sure our vetting process is solid. We just can't let anybody come into the back room. They can come into the church, but they can't come into the back room. And we got to start making sure not everybody. We didn't vote for a Democratic Congress so he could use executive privilege like Trump. We didn't vote for a Democrat so he... Well, actually, it would have been we needed a Senate. The Senate is what blocked him. He had the Congress at one point, but he didn't have the Senate. And Mitch McConnell blocked everything. But that's what made John McCain's vote for Obamacare with President Trump so epic, is that they just knew they had it with the Senate because they had the numbers, and John McCain was like, not on my watch. I don't agree with black women saying that she don't like and will not date a black. Yeah, listen, Candace Owens, whatever the black dude that hurt Candace Owens, she can't even see her own color. And it's sad when you listen to her. She literally laughs at people of color to appease whites. It's still sad when you listen to her and a lot of, listen, Stacey Dash was that way. You got a couple other super coons over there at Fox, Diamond and Silk, Coon and Silk. They were Democrats at one point in North Carolina, and when their businesses stopped making money, they put on the tap dance shoes. Well, we can get rid of McConnell. Actually, we need to get rid of McConnell this year because there's a ton of seats in play, Michelle. And if we can swing the Senate, even if Trump swings the Supreme Court, which he's going to do, we're not going to be able to stop it. He's going to name that extra person to the Supreme Court. But if we can swing the Senate and keep the House, we can impeach Trump again and actually get him out of office. But the Supreme Court, here's the problem is everybody's looking at Trump. Here's the mistake that a lot of people of color made. It's not about Trump. It's about the 300 judges that they got appointed to lifetime positions. And a lot of those judges are in their 40s. I just want Mitch McConnell to lose his... Yes, but we have to be able to get him out. Because the thing is, 300 judges and what's going to turn out to be 3 Supreme Court judges. Guys, listen, these are going to be some rough times because with 300 judges, if you have to come up against one of these Trump judges, it's going to be a problem. And with 3 Supreme Court judges, listen, yeah, we all better start working out because they're going to start taking health care and they're going to start cutting a whole lot. And it's going to be bad. And I'm telling you, it's going to be some rough times, especially for people of color. Because remember, if the highest court in the land is now tilted one way and is not in a way that favors folks of color, what else we got? And so we have to figure out what it is. But the only alternative is if the Congress then increases the seats of the Supreme Court. So instead of 9, increase it to 13 or 15. Listen, keep increasing it. I don't care. Well, most people don't even know that there's 3 branches of government, Jamila. The sad part is and you know what? But we can do that in our circles. Hey, here, I'm going to give everybody some homework. How many people I got on here? All right. Here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to start quizzing some of the people in your own circle. I want you to start asking people, how many branches of government are there? And how many senators and how many congressmen are there? If they don't know, slap them first and then say, go study. Let's start educating our own. All right, let's start asking how many people make up the Supreme Court. They don't need to know the names. If they don't know that it's currently 8 and normally is 9, slap them. Let's start doing basic civics so our people will know what they're listening to when they watch the news and everything else. It's not about Trump. What people believe is, yeah, they want people to believe that. But the Federalist Society had a list of judges, and some of these judges were actually noted to not have any experience. The Bar Association said at least 75 of the 300 judges have never had any type of court experience and were not qualified to be judges, and yet they still rammed it through. And if you're in any one of those states and have to deal with these federal judges, God help you. People in power, listen, people in power don't give it up unless they're provoked to. Ain't nobody laying down power. Not happening. So I don't know what the Democrats are going to do. And how long is everyone's term, House and Senate? Okay, I believe it's 6 years in the Senate, for 2 years in Congress. Yeah, slap him first. Oop, time to go. Questions, JS, damn it. You leave it. I'm sorry, you lost me with that one, Kim. Clear it up. Questions, JS, damn it. What? You lost me with that one, Kim. You got to clear it up for me. But yeah, slap them first because we got to start waking up our people in our circles, man. It's not about Trump. Trump is the figurehead. Trump is designed he's the distractor in chief. His job is to be out there and ask those questions. Okay. Yes, Congress is the House of Representatives. I got you, Jamila. I know. And then we got the Senate, the House, and then we got the executive. And actually, the Supreme Court is considered the 4th branch, but that's supposed to be standalone. But they've already made that political as well. Okay, see now you okay. Yes, Jamila, it is all the Congress, but the Senate and the House. But you know what I'm talking about. All right, you know what? Let me slap myself. Come on, Keith, get it together. Jamila's right. See, I slapped myself, Tony. Yeah. I'm assigning homework. You don't have to do it. You will not be tested on Friday, Kim. You're good. They are saying that they will start voting, judging, and now and all because Texas all have black people. Well, Texas was great. Texas had, 15 sisters that took office, 27 over 2 different elections, I think, Tony. It was 27 total, 16 in 2018, and I think it was 11 back in 2014, I believe it was, or 16, I think it was it? It was 11 in 2016 and 16 in 2018. Don't worry, Kim. Don't worry. You'll be all right. You're not being graded on it. Plus, we grade on a curve. All you got to do is put one like in the chat room. You good. You pass. But again, guys, these are the conversations that we should be having in our circles. White, black, and different. I don't care what your background is, but you should be having these conversations. And if people are going to support, or if people want to see racial change, they got to get in the mix. It can't be off to the side. They have to get in the mix. And they have to want to see things get better. So that is my hope. And so I hope that I brought something to the table for you guys tonight. I'm going to get ready to jump off here. Going to have the wife on Friday. I'm not sure what we're talking about. I have to see. Because Tiff she might have some questions. I don't know what she's going to talk about this week. We'll see. But again, please share this with, please invite folks into the group so they can see this. But it'll be on my YouTube page. So if you want to find any of the previous videos, if they want to watch them all, or you want to watch them and you don't want to go through the group, don't need to. I know you got this, Kim. If you want to see the videos and not have to go all the way back through the group to find them, just go to YouTube, Keith K.L. Belvin. I move all of the videos there on my YouTube page. It's easy to find. You can watch them there. You can send people there if they want to watch them. But if they want to be live, if they want to join us, then they have to come and get inside the group, and they can gladly join us. Because the goal is to have some fun, but at the same time have intellectual conversation. Because for me, it's a matter of hoping that when we're done, I've given you something to go with, giving you something to have some fun. Okay? So again, I want to say thank you to all of you. As usual, y'all killed it. It always goes down in the chat room, and I appreciate that. So again, just be safe, be careful. And let's try to make some things happen. This racism thing is going to be here, but it doesn't have to affect all of us in every way. We can do something. Yes, Urban View on Sirius Radio. If you have a Sirius account, just 126 on what's name. Some fantastic hosts. And Kim, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, is that here's what I like about it, is that they give you references to stuff that allows you to go get it for yourself. Knowledge is like breadcrumbs. You lay it out, you eat it, and it leads you somewhere. And when you get there, you should be dropping breadcrumbs for somebody else. That's what I like about the show. Everybody's going to have their own viewpoints. But when I can listen to certain stuff unfiltered, and folks are speaking their truth, and on the weekend too, because they give great investment advice on the weekend. And they have another sister that comes on that talks about natural products. She's a doctor, which is actually pretty good. And then when they actually put their books or their source material out for you to go get it, that's something great for me. So that's why I enjoy it. So I have I have Roku. I got rid of cable. It's one of the streaming stations that I have, and so I have an account. So I listen to it I don't drive anywhere, so I'm here listening in the house, or I have it on my phone. So all right, guys. So have a great night. Thank you as always. It was fun. Hottest cats in the galaxy right here. Oh, I'm stealing somebody's line. That's not my line. That's somebody else's. Hottest crew on the internet. There we go. Almost locked myself out here. Have a good night, guys, and please be safe as we get ready to move towards the weekend. But please be safe. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, make sure that you let folks know to come in and check us out. Way to go, Jamila. Tell my man, tell the king I said hello. Tell Ronell I said hi. All right, you guys have a great night. God bless, guys.